One of gambling to survive, I'm going to show you guys how to get free parking. So you grab your parking slip, you put it in, it costs $4. You grab your debit card and you put it in there, it pays for the parking, right? No, wrong. You're actually in debt $4. So what you have to do is take your card back and then you got to put $4 on this. Oh, we lost. So now I got to put 10. Fuck, I'm doing 15. Come on, don't make it fucking... Okay, I'm doing 30 now. Someone's behind us? I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to get free parking. Okay, this is not working. I'm losing every single time. Dude, this is not good. I'm fucking losing every single time. Fuck it, $85 bet. No insurance. Stand. Alright, we won. Free parking. Thank you.
I love being rich.
Chester, look, a poor person.
We should say something that'll ruin his life forever.
I know just the thing.
Hey, poor person. We have something we want to say to you.
Yeah?
Being poor is actually good.
What?
Rich people are actually evil. The cars, the clothes, the traveling, the freedom, that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, what matters is other things.
But wait, why are you guys rich?
We just got lucky. Yeah, super lucky.
Well, duh. So you guys didn't work hard?
No, us being rich is a 100% byproduct of luck and nothing else.
See, I knew it had nothing to do with the person. Some people are just born lucky, and that's it.
Exactly.
You know, I was actually about to start working harder, but now thanks to you guys, I know it doesn't matter. And being wealthy is just a matter of luck. Thank you guys.
No problem.
So you see, if someone thinks being rich is evil, you don't have to worry about them even trying to become rich.
Allowing people to think being poor is noble will keep them down, and you'll have less competition in your life.
Allowing poor people to think being rich is actually way better.
Not even once.
Hey Dad, do an impression of Joe Biden explaining the plot to Star Wars.
So there's a galaxy parked on the side of the a long time ago, back when I was working full time at anyway, I was the head of the embassy. It doesn't matter. Far away, there was galaxy, and there were robots. And the robots, they were not the droids you were looking for.
These Nazi blood-sucking anti-American parasites that want to make you and your family slaves know that we are standing up against them, and we are red-blooded, and we are not slaves, and we are not bowing down to them. I'm not bowing down. I'm at the tip of the spear. I get death threats every day. And you know what? I am honored to be who I am. I'm honored to just be an average person that stood up 15 years ago and said, I'm going to defend the Republic. I'm going to defend the family. I'm going to defend the Second Amendment. I'm going to fight against abortion. I'm going to see what happens when I really take action. And we have laid waste to the enemy. If you simply unloose yourselves and become the leaders you are, we will sweep this scum into the gutter. We will defeat the New World Order. We will crush the tyranny. Second hour, straight ahead. Stay with us. And when I was like 12, 13, I was banging some of that black pussy. Because it's all pink in the middle. There you go.
What about Indian?
Dan Merritt, yeah, good stuff. I never banged an Indian, but just bend over right here. I'll fuck you right
Hey, you can't tell me how cute I am. This shit might go down.
I ain't his dudes, I'll be honest with you. But you do have pretty eyes. Bring me 15 hookers now and get the drugs ready and take me to the private island. Get the aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it. Listen, asshole. Listen, you son of a bitch. What the fuck's your problem? You get in my face with that, I'll beat your goddamn ass, you son of a bitch. You piece of shit. You fucking goddamn fucker. Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line. Get that through your goddamn fucking head. Stop pushing your shit.
First, stop gambling, all right? You're one spin away from generational wealth. Your daughter's college tuition is one spin away. Put your life savings on black. Remember that. Just go to Vegas, and if you lose, just keep getting loans. Remember this. Just keep spinning, keep gambling, keep gambling. You can't lose. You literally can't lose. You can only quit.
Nobody knows about that fucking degenerate life when you're fucking down 40,000 and you battle the fuck back. You say, you know what? You know what? I'm a fucking strong, independent man. And you're not gonna tell me I should go to bed. I'm gonna battle the fuck back. And I'm gonna fucking get my money back. And guess what? I got my motherfucking money back. That's right!
But when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be.
How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair? The point really is you put on one pair of glasses. You've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? You know? So my point really is, if you're you get on one airplane, are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane, aren't you afraid? Asset. Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There is no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best, okay? But take all your money, buy Bitcoin. Then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin. Then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business, it's in your family for 37 years, and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth.
What is going on, you guys? It is Dollar Cost Crypto here with Goggles. Stay on. Live from Las Vegas. We got two wonderful guests in the house. Introduce thyselves.
Hey, Dracula Presley.
In the flesh.
Great to be out here in Vegas, man. I had like a last minute shift of plans. I was supposed to be actually in Vienna for the Sonic Summit.
Right.
And had to come out to Vegas instead to handle some stuff, had a couple meetings. So, yeah, man, it was super awesome to get to link up with you guys and in real life and come here to the Moon Gang studio. Super swank. So, yeah, man, great to be here, though, and great to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you, man. We were getting up to some degenerate gambling last night.
Oh, yeah.
So good times, more tonight to come.
And more to come.
But yeah, as most people on the channel probably know, Charlie from Cultivate Crypto did a stream earlier today on kind of dissecting the Richard Hart first Richard Hart video since, I think, in terms of like showing his face and everything since the last cycle.
Christmas, I guess.
No, the Christmas was only audio.
Oh, was it only audio?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And so like it's been a few years, and so I dissected the video, kind of broke it down, what he got right, what maybe he kind of exaggerated for pumping his bags and stuff like that. So definitely check out Cultivate Crypto on YouTube and smash the like, especially if you're into the Pulse Chain ecosystem. But hey, the goggles stay on.
The goggles stay on, man. What's going on with Sonic, man?
Man, just a lot going on this week. The summit has been from everything I've seen pretty successful. A lot of people ended up coming out. They put like a really nice show together. Really, like the big news right now is Andre himself is going to permissionless in New York City.
Whoa!
Wow, that's at the end of June. So we're crossing our fingers. Maybe we're getting like a new Andre project dropped, or he doesn't make a lot of public appearances. So
right.
I'm hoping that we're getting some really good news at the end of June here.
So he wasn't at Vienna, basically.
I don't think he went to Vienna.
Okay.
That's crazy, but it's like I guess he's prepping for permissionless. He's I don't know the guy like personally very well, but he doesn't go out a lot. He doesn't show up at a lot of things.
Do you know where he's from originally?
South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Emerald Mine. Got it.
Elon Musk 2.0.
Watch me find out it's his cousin. Like,
it's like it's like a second cousin or something.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, on Sonic, it's like things are still just moving along with the eco. Lots of new stuff on the way. We kind of had that first wave closer to launch.
Yeah,
where we had a lot of like big projects coming and everything, and I feel like right now we're kind of like hitting like it feels like wave 2's brewing. There's like a lot of stuff that's like about to come out. That's like gearing up to come out. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we're gonna have wave 2. We're gonna have macro improve a little bit more, and maybe it all kind of comes together like just at the right time for Andre to drop something new.
Right.
And,
well, I mean, Bitcoin right now is trying to get to 100K. I mean, it just got past 98, I think, for the first time since like the end of last year, beginning of this year. So things are starting to look good in the macro. So I think Pulse Chain kind of has the green light, or getting close to it at least.
Yeah. Congrats to all the Pulse people in the Pulse eco, Pulse holders, Hex, all that stuff. Congrats to all you guys. That was a huge news.
Hard fought victory.
Yeah. And I watched a little bit of his video, and I didn't know that. I thought, they like dropped the case, but it's like they beat the case, which is insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only because like Ripple, right? They got their case dropped. Tonecoin had to like adjust how they were going to build their L1 to get approval. Ethereum still is not fully. What do you call it?
It's not done yet.
It's not done because it still could be labeled a security. Coinbase is actually trying to get Ethereum labeled as a security. Which is very weird.
There's a little fight between the SEC and what is it, like not the CMTC, but it's basically the Commodities Commission and stuff on commodity. They're basically fighting between, is it labeled a commodity or is it security? Because that's the big fight they want. Like, because that was like the earlier fight. Because if all these cryptos originally were considered like essentially commodities or like property, then they have all the jurisdiction at the SEC. The SEC loses a lot of power basically because like eventually everything's going to be a crypto asset. So that means the SEC is going to lose a ton of jurisdiction basically.
And there's like a lot of overlap between Pulse Chain and Sonic that's possible.
Right.
I mean, technically Sonic is EVM compatible. So I would say it'd be very interesting to see if like Richard Hart says like, hey, Andre, you've made like some awesome shit over here with the like Solid X, like that kind of stuff that they did last cycle on Phantom.
Right.
Bring that over to Pulse Chain because I don't know. I think there could be actually a lot of cross collaboration, but I think a lot of builders in crypto, like right now, they are kind of more siloed. So I highly doubt something like that would happen. But I think long-term future, that maybe next cycle more that'll happen.
I feel like I'm hearing, lately it's like my algo is pretty balanced. Of course, if I'm on like the following, it's more, but like my actual like for you is pretty balanced. And it's like I feel like there's like a lot more chatter around Pulse than like I've seen in a while.
Right.
Like maybe even since like closer to launch. It's like there's like a lot of chatter, a lot of stuff going on. And it's interesting you brought up Solidly because I remember there was someone trying to do like a Solidly DEX on Pulse like right at launch, but I guess nobody's still like taken that. Taking that crown yet.
No, I mean there's been little weird iterations of it, but essentially we don't really have. No, what Fast Abdul's like, hey, which but like we really don't have like a Sonic classical Phantom sort of exchange like that where like you're just like a Beats or like we essentially don't have much of a voting order protocol. PulseX was supposed to have voting. I'm still waiting. That was one of the big things for PulseX in order to hold it was that there was at some point, obviously, you never want to give 100% of the vote power to democracy because it won't be democracy very soon. But the team or the OA or Richard or whoever, would probably have control 60% of it, and then we're fighting over 40%. But that hasn't happened yet. And maybe will one day in the future, but of course it's going to end up being used to shill shit coins that even Richard would imagine would be shit coins. Where like on Sonic, it's just a little bit more loosey goosey. This is what if you guys are paying economic energy for it, then okay, then you have it.
Yeah. Well, it's like a lot of these dexes too, like they've shifted to, I think you've seen trouble when somebody like completely decentralizes that process, but kind of like what you were saying, like 60% or, like a lot of times you can say, hey, like, at all times we control, 40, 50, 60% because we're going to make sure those core and most important pools get incentivized.
Yeah.
And then you leave the rest up for voting. So that way the community can get those emissions for, their shit coins and, community coins and everything else. So.
Yeah. Cause there's certain pools that are like, there for the best interest of the ecosystem or the project and in terms of viability to keep it going. But the users probably wouldn't see that as being the main function. So like it can, so if you left it all to like, hey, this protocol is like all votes wherever you want it, you'll end up having one guy voting all the emissions for one project and then a couple, A, B, C, and D basically. And then that's all it is.
And I've seen it kill protocols too, that have gotten too lenient with the structure where, what happens sometimes is you get people that are just because they were like early buyers. Now it's like they own the emissions. And like you said, they're just directing them to treasury farming. Really. It's not even like real projects or real volume or, but yeah, I'm going to do something on Pulse. Now I got a little idea. So,
I like when we planted the seed.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think what do you call it? Just in terms of like communities and stuff, I think there is a lot more similarities between Sonic and Pulse Chain rather than differences in the fact that like if you look at like Pulse Chain and you look at Sonic, like what VCs are really backing either chain, like there's zero on Pulse Chain, absolutely. Right. And probably in terms of Sonic, like who, like in terms of VC money versus community money and organic, like building, like what would you say is the ratio on the chain if you were to try to guess?
I would still say it's a fair balance. They were real careful about VC money when they did like a really, really small, like kind of like trusted guys only kind of raise. And, they were real careful. They actually didn't even raise a ton when they were
Did they cap it at a certain level or something?
This is crazy, but I think they only raised like $14 or $15 million. I think it must have just been like, was
that Found Days?
Or
Sonic?
Well, it was for Sonic, but they did
Got
this
it.
raise like when Phantom was still, it was before Sonic launched.
Yeah.
Right.
So most like all the biggest, projects right now are, mostly community. I mean, Shadow, they were very strict about, no one's getting OTC, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that. Obviously Beethoven or Beats is I guess what they've technically rebranded to. Biggest LST provider doing crazy fees, crazy volume. They were totally community project.
Yeah.
Now I can't speak for, you got projects like Silo, huge lending protocol. I'm not sure if they have like necessarily there could be VC money there because obviously with the airdrop, there's lots of looping and lending and all that stuff. But I would say it's pretty, it's pretty balanced, like there's not like that feel. Like I remember when Arbitrum launched.
Right.
And it was just like, you would get lucky. Maybe you'd hit on a project, but it'd be like, you couldn't hold shit.
Yeah.
You couldn't hold anything because if you held anything for more than 2 or 3 months, they had their unlocks and, it was dumped to oblivion. So, I do recall, there's been situations, especially with the L2s where, you get like mostly VC backed projects or even the actual raise for the gas token or whatever is VCs. So I know a lot of the people on the Sonic team, they're kind of in a unique situation because they had Phantom and Phantom was, 4 or 5 years old or whatever.
Right.
So they were very like meticulous about how they were going to like put their launch plan together and like how they were going to raise money and who was going to, get, tokens and all that stuff. But like I said, I feel like the majority of the big projects especially are, still mostly community. And I've said this about Pulse before, in terms of, Phantom, obviously, of everything that happened, like in the bear market, multi-chain.
Right.
There definitely are some similarities there where it's like,
just gets beaten up.
There was definitely like kind of like some tortured community
Right.
kind of stuff where, the community had to figure out a lot of stuff and kind of like finally come together and, make the chain what it is,
Kind of like, what was that experience like from your point of view in the Phantom space? Because I know like you're like, basically that's where Goglz got born, right?
Yeah. So, Goglz, it's funny. There was, just some guys that like our old Phantom guys. And, we were in a group chat and that last stretch of Phantom was just so boring. And it was just like, we were already kind of like kicking the idea around of like, like we should get all the old Phantom guys together, do like one last shitter or something, have some fun. Cause like people that were building like DeFi stuff and everything, obviously they're like waiting for Sonic at that point. And that's why Phantom had like this stretch of like not a lot going on, but then like, we had this meme pop at the end.
Yeah. Was that, you think that was kind of more like, was it more organic or was kind of popped with like that first that first race to get some of that money?
That's a good question. I think there was a lot of speculation at the time,
right?
That Sonic itself was going to drop in December. So there was like some money coming through, and then Goglz just kind of like went parabolic right from the start. And it was like we had like this big kind of like meme pop, and then it was like, well, there's nothing else to really do on Phantom besides these memes, and I think that kind of helped like give all this like volume and everything to the memes. But yeah, it was always intended to be like a Sonic token because, like I said, we're kicking around this idea of doing like a token just for fun, just to give everybody something to do. Everybody's just like sitting around going like, there's nothing to do. Like what? And it was like, hey, like we're going to, we'll just have some fun, see how it goes. But literally 2 or 3 days after we were like kind of joking around about this, talking about it, Phantom, it was actually an accidental leak. And I can confirm too, this isn't like a marketing ploy. Somebody accidentally, they were working on like a mascot for Sonic and somebody accidentally leaked something too early and they actually got in like deep shit for it. But we saw this and it was just kind of like immediately some of the guys in the chat were memeing it. Cause it's just like this goofy ass penguin. So, immediately we were like memeing it and stuff. And it was just like, all right, boys, that's it. That's the one right there. So, we got everything together really fast. Word got out. We did like a fair launch. So it was literally like nobody gets early anything. We're just telling, it was like, hey, I think it was 2 o'clock. It was like 2 p.m. tomorrow. The pool's dropping, so get your tokens. You know,
nice. I like that.
Yeah, I kind of based it from like a just structuring standpoint. I don't know if anyone here like plays around on like Avalanche very much, but I had actually based a lot of the launch around kind of like what like Cock did, like Cock Inu. I actually thought that like was a pretty good launch, and you know, it just felt better, you know, because like you have this like hard thing where it's like you can raise funds with a pre-sale, but then it's the race to everybody starts trying to sell because the pre-sale buyers are about to get their tokens or they get their tokens right at launch and dump. So I feel like if I did like another token launch, I would probably do it similar. Like I think the fair launch thing worked really well. And yeah, we just let it run, you know, it was just like, hey, and you know, you had some of your usual stuff. I mean, there were people that fell into, you know, buying like 1% of the supply for like 1,000 Phantom, you know, or whatever. And those guys did really well. Good for them. But, you know, that's the only con on that side is you do have this period after fair launch and chart pumping that then you got to kind of get those early guys out.
Right.
You know,
we call them sell pressure.
Yeah.
We need to get that on the soundboard.
Yeah. Dude, so Richard kind of came back to like, you know, like Pulse Chain did that whole interview, like kind of like Charlie said. And he just came back, just taking he had some good little quips on what's going on with the crypto space. And that's kind of one of the big things he said is like, you know, all the people crying are just basically sell pressure. Like, which is true. I mean, that's kind of the whole Hex thing, which is, you know, buying and holding, you know, staking out your coins and just being here for the super long term. Which I will say this community does have that power, but like your coin doesn't go up and it only goes down for a long time. It's brutal. You know? Like if as an example, if Andre as an example had, you know, the SEC coming after him, and then on top of that also had, you know, that fake ass organization from Europe and stuff coming after you too. You know, I would imagine Sonic's price would be 80%, 90% down right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also exchanges delisting you everywhere and stuff like that. So, you know.
Yeah, and that was like a thing too, where it was like, I think they had trouble figuring, that was definitely like a pain point where I think they thought, hey, you know, you can't just have universal cutoff Phantom Day. It's just not how it works.
Right.
And they realized when they kind of got in the trenches on it that dealing with like 80% of the centralized exchanges being Asian, like with the people that run it and whatever, that all of a sudden it's like, okay, we got to deal with like 30 exchanges and half of them we're having a hard time even like explaining what's going on. That's kind of why you might have seen on the timeline recently, they've actually like built like a Asian centric kind of like part of the team.
Really?
To like handle a lot of this stuff. Because there was a lot of interest in Asia and it was like that. Yeah. The Phantom, the Sonic thing with the exchanges was like a nightmare, basically. I mean, it was like, you know, there was still, even like 3-4 weeks ago, you'd still just see these some random exchange being like, hey, we now have Sonic, you know, it's like, dude, it's been like 4 months. So yeah, I mean, you know, it is tough. Like when, you know, we had that huge market downturn, basically right at launch. So it was supposed to be like this, oh man, like everybody's euphoric, like we're about the moon. And then it's like the market shits the bed. Then it's like you have the centralized exchange issues. Then you have Binance futures. They had a big issue there where literally everybody was, you know, because everything was like, you know, getting messed up. People are like either totally like closing their positions or shorting. And I mean, the fact that S is even where it is right now, in my opinion, it's actually performing pretty well. I kind of thought it would actually take longer to sort of recover.
So now you tell us after the fact.
Well, I accumulated a lot of S during that time frame, though.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So did we and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we've been consistently DCAing. We caught that 41-cent low, which is really nice.
Nice, yeah.
And where else can you get 2 for $1?
Yeah.
You know, it's 2 for $1 for now. The value menu is going to go away, ladies and gentlemen.
It will.
True.
It will.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so everything's like, looking good in terms of, the tokenomics, the VC structure. I think we got, like you're saying, 2 for $1. It's like we have so much room compared to some of like, the other tokens out there right now, some of the other chains. There's so much space to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good place to be right now.
Yeah, and I would say for like well, technically you are new L1 now, but like, well, I guess L1, L2 fusion or whatever they're calling it. But you guys had the thing of just being around here last cycle, and last cycle, like I would say something that Sonic had that no other chain last cycle had is that most of your alts or most of your dexes or most of your other kind of like utility tokens actually went up in price.
Yep.
Yeah.
Versus like stuff on
and
Solana.
many of them, not just like a few.
Yeah, exactly right. You could damn near close your eyes and like one basically, right?
Yeah.
Which is really nice, and it created a much more hodl mentality. I mean, and this kind of the interesting thing. Obviously, Andre was launching projects kind of late into 21, into 22, right? But like legitimately, the last pump of the cycle was the second last pump of the cycle technically was Solidex, and then the last pump of his cycle. I mean, the last thing that ever pumped in crypto for the last cycle was Crystal's launch on Jewel. That was the actual last project, and then it was cooked cryptos and cycle over.
Oh yeah,
it was cooked
for at least a year.
At least a year.
Yeah, it definitely just felt like the doors are closed. Like it's done.
And it's kind of funny, right? Because like I mean, this is why we're multi-coiners, right? We're coin agnostic, profit maxis, and so with morals, right? With morals, right? But we're profit maxis. And it was really interesting because we had so much to do on Sonic and the launch and the yield farming and everything was going on. So we had this whole thing with like Pulse Chain, right? We were used to, like with Pulse Chain so like if you look at the charts, right? We basically topped out in November, basically, right? On Pulse Chain, we're it's kind of like we're the dog in fire. You know what I mean? It's like everything's fine. Everyone's mad. This is normal, right? Yeah. But on Sonic, because we had the Sonic launch, we had everything going here. People were yield farming. We shadow launch. Goggles still doing good. Everyone's yield. There was like something to do.
Yeah,
there's something to do. I was like, oh, let me optimize my yield farms. Let me jump here. Let me watch some CLs. Let me go to Metro. You're just moving around and you vote. Voting on beats. Like it was a great chain to just not pay attention to the noise. We're on like stuff like Solana. We were wondering why is everyone so mad right now on Solana? And it was like, you guys had most of your money in Solana meme coins.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we did.
Oof.
And and of course. Right, and
then that's why for the fundamentals, Miguel.
Yeah, but our guys were more Sonic kind of Pulse Chain heavy, right? Like we were just kind of like, sucks to be you guys.
Yeah. And I mean, me and you talked about this when you came on GM Sonic.
Yeah.
I was like you guys, before even Phantom, and especially in the bear market where it was like, I'd chase yield anywhere. So I'd be, it was different to be like, I got this thing, on Ethereum, I got this thing on Arbitrum, I got this thing. Like it was like you were spread out across like or you're like, okay, a new L2's launching, I'm gonna like farm that shit, whatever. And so yeah, it is true where it's like it has been kind of nice to where I'm just like, I mean, of course there's still other plays I do on other chains, but it was like even if I had like nothing to do with Sonic at all, I would probably have most of my funds there right now just because But it is like in some ways I do kind of miss that hunt. Because I do feel like right now it is kind of like set it and of course, I'm always I'm checking like
you're a humble farmer. Farmer.
I'm still checking like every day because it's just wired in my brain. But I don't move funds or I don't have to move funds around as much. So it's like,
oh, you're gonna hit something.
Oh, I was gonna do a whole bit, but go ahead.
Okay,
go for it.
No, you can do that first if you want.
Me over here, I was like, I'm just a goddamn farmer over here on Sonic.
Just a humble
farmer.
It's honest.
It is.
So no, the thing I was gonna actually ask you is like, so when you look at Sonic compared to like any other chain in crypto, I want you to kind of poke a hole in my argument here.
Okay.
And so if you look at Sonic and you're like, what does Bitcoin not do that it wants to be? Right now, in terms of like low fees, fast movement, payments, you can do all the stuff, use it as money, right? That's something that Bitcoin is having a hard time doing right now. In the far, far future, maybe it'll get better, right? And then Ethereum, what does it want to do? It wants all the projects built on it, wants to be fast, low fees, at the same time as still, deflationary, but because they did all the L2 stuff, they kind of fucked themselves, on that side a little bit more. They do got the ETF, so if that starts getting money from Wall Street, that'll help Ethereum a lot. But you look at like all of these chains and what they want to do, they have bits and pieces of it, but nothing has the whole enchilada. But I think you can argue that Sonic is probably the most well-rounded, like ideal crypto of what we have wanted up until this point in time, because you can pretty much do anything you want on it. You can yield farm on it. You can trade it. You can have a DEX on it. You can have like a DEX with like centralized exchange, like type parameters on it with limits and stuff. You have your lending platforms. You have a fully fledged ecosystem. You have memes. You have like this, like basically if you were to have Wall Street come over, which Solana's wanting to attract that by having more centralized blockchain, but with a decentralized blockchain in Sonic, you actually can attract Wall Street type players, because what they're doing is they want low latency, they want fast movement, they want to be able to do whatever, and so apps can be built like that on Sonic. But so I don't see how Sonic has like a glaring weakness compared to most other blockchains, but maybe you can tell me. But at the same, but like, because I'm kind of curious, like what are like kind of the inherent weaknesses of Sonic compared to everything else? Because to be honest, I like look at it and I'm like, this is what every crypto has been trying to be for the last like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much everything you said is spot on. I mean, there's really not necessarily a reason that it couldn't basically do anything that you're talking about.
Like it can pretty much do anything that we've ever wanted to do.
Yeah, and I mean, the latency is a big deal, because I think that is something that Solana has had a leg up on anything that's EVM or L2s or whatever, is that the bigger money players just did not want to mess with stuff on chain.
Right.
Because of that latency. Because, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember like early GMX and some shit like that, where people were figuring out perps and I mean,
it's
dude,
trash.
you would have these crazy fees because they did this thing where it was essentially, it's like the equivalent of like price surge during heavy traffic.
Yeah.
And there was no way that anybody was gonna.
Hey, still time to buy when you got the chart.
Price surge. I got like flashbacks.
There's no way that these guys were gonna put $1 billion fucking dollars on a chain like that, or know, in an app like that to use their funds when. So I do think that Solana actually did kind of have a leg up in terms of the latency and those.
And you're talking last cycle, basically, or the current.
Yeah, more so like last cycle.
You want to know something interesting, though? Yeah. Like, so, like one of the reasons why, like, so part of the way they attracted a lot of money was by showing, obviously we have dick measuring concepts in crypto. We got market cap and we got TVL, right? Total value locked, but it's not locked at all. It's pretty liquid. It can go away, right? But basically, we have TVL and we got market cap. Well, there's this protocol called Sable that was on Solana last cycle. They essentially faked borrowed money against themselves to another entity and then reborrowed money back this way. And like, so at the time when Sable started doing this, the TVL locked on Solana versus Ethereum was like, they were 1%. And then the CEO of Sable at the time, which I think is, homeless now.
RIP.
RIP, right? Yeah. But he, but basically he said, this is not fair. We're such a great protocol. How is it possible we're only 1%? That's just not fair.
Yeah.
We need to beat our competition. So basically they faked a bunch of numbers and they essentially ballooned the TVL to, I would say probably at the end of the cycle, Solana was probably 2-3% of Ethereum. They ballooned it to 10%.
Yeah.
Sable alone. Not including everything everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
So a lot so that also gave confidence to a lot of whales overly, and as well as there was like entire wars between. There's like the secret, like we have the Marvel Secret Wars. We had secret wars between Phantom and Solana and stuff over some bullshit and stuff like. I mean, I heard a couple stories that some people on Phantom decided to DDoS print NFTs on Solana, shut it down a couple times.
Yeah, I mean,
and of course they were fucking with us too as well. I mean, it isn't. I mean, magically we have a token called Sonic EVM or SVM, or we have the Phantom wallet. At the time, it's just like these little things are like, I can maybe believe the Phantom. Okay, maybe that's a coincidence.
Yeah,
but let's launch a L2 at the same time Sonic is launching.
Yeah,
and then let's call it SVM as well. That way they can't turn FVM as marketing to SVM.
And there's some there's a little bit of like juicy gossip on the timeline right now. In
You
terms
say Jew?
of,
What?
there's a very juicy gossip on the time. No,
I thought you were gonna hit the bar mitzvah thing.
That's a little too on the nose.
Yeah, because there truly was speculation. The Phantom Wallet was one thing, but when they announced Sonic and then they announced Sonic SVM, and that's when people were like, okay, like, come on, what the hell?
Right.
And, there was a lot of like people going, it has nothing to do with each other. It has nothing. Well,
but they launched at the same time?
Basically. And in fact, Sonic SVM like made this huge push to like get on some of the exchanges before Sonic did, even though Sonic was technically the first project, whatever. But there is a little bit of gossip on the timeline that there was a time where it almost was a extortion kind of basically. And hey, I'm not trying to get sued. I'm telling you what I've read and some things I've seen and some things I've heard that basically Sonic SVM asked for. They asked for 8 figures to change their name and their branding.
That's almost as bad as Circle.
I mean,
you heard the Circle?
With Ripple?
No, Circle.
No, I know, but Ripple tried to basically offer like $5 billion to buy Circle.
Yeah, and they actually increased it too as well. Yeah, because I had given Circle, from what I've seen, obviously it's rough. I mean, like anytime you're offering them some money for a company, the company's not worth that. You're basically paying them multiples of just cash flow, basically, right? But like I put Circle somewhere between 10 to 12 billion market. That's what you would pay for it currently. But because it has more stable coins, that doesn't mean like they don't make income off all of that. Really.
Yeah, I mean, 5 billion, I thought was. I mean, yeah, that's a massive figure, but
it's also control of the market.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
The CIA was never going to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Ripple has their own stable coin, and like they're basically just trying to slap their competitor in the face.
And Ripple's getting scared because they need to make a big I said that if XRP had bought Circle, that would have been like Facebook buying Instagram,
right?
Because Facebook, that Instagram, there's no Facebook anymore.
Yeah,
because who's using Facebook?
Nobody. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's been a little bit. That's actually just recently kind of been like sort of coming to light a little bit that there were some like conversations about like, oh yeah, we'll change our name. We think to change our name and our branding and about somewhere in the 8-figure. And they were just like, first of all, we didn't solicit this. Second of all, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like we'll just do it. Like fine, So it's pretty sketch.
And Circle tried to shake down Phantom last cycle. They were asking for $68 million. It
was
for native USDC.
Yeah, and I have some theories on that.
That was pretty high. That's ridiculous.
So what are they?
I can see 10. I can see 10 or 5. Yeah. All right, it's all right.
So what are they paying this year is the question, because it's coming, right?
Well, it's kind of weird because Circle decided to do like Circle Alpha, which was USDC.E, right? And then now Binance apparently, like I didn't even know there's a Binance Alpha. Apparently there is now. Yeah. So it's like a trial thing where like if you do enough volume, like all right, we'll let you in. Or something.
Yeah, so it's basically like a different avenue. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's why so much of their incentives and everything have been focused on USDCE,
right?
And like bridging native USDC is because they want that.
Somebody said they still use Facebook to get Latinas.
Hey, bro.
Hey,
yeah.
The alpha is basically to go on to like the Facebook marketplace and go under wedding dresses. And they even sort them by size.
Yeah. But no, yeah, like it's kind of like a different approach to like, where it's like, I don't think you necessarily now, to get it integrated into actual Coinbase, who knows what you have to do then. But there were some issues with like, like I said, this is speculation on my part and like some conversations I've had and things I know, that I honestly think that number last cycle was kind of derived from almost like a cover your ass fund. Because there were like some issues with like early Phantom in terms of people that had like large things in a supply and very, very early on with even like the ICO and everything. I mean, we're talking 2017 or 18 or whatever.
Do you remember if it was semi-Korean or the thing? Because I don't know why I remember there's a lot of Korean investors
Yeah. So like, I mean, there was always kind of like these murmurs that there was like some people that you would not like to have holding a lot of the supply, holding it.
Right.
And I kind of almost feel like the Coinbase
Sony?
thing,
No, wait, not Sony. No. Kia?
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of like, I think that was more like, okay, like if we're going to like list you, we got to have like, you know, some kind of assurance that, and like I said, this is once again, like a speculation thing on my part, but that would be the only reason I can imagine that they would be like, you have to give us this much money to like put your token that has a shitload of liquidity, a shitload of volume, a shitload of holders, you know, to say like, you got to pay us this much for us to like make a bunch of money on fees off your token. You know what I mean?
And we like, I mean, I shouldn't say we, I guess because we're all holders of this blockchain, which is decentralized and owned by everybody. Right. But, you know, we dodged the big bullet. I mean, this is so cool. I'll try to link it later on. I have it somewhere on my Twitter, but like where Andre had this whole breakdown, I think it was a Medium article where he broke down kind of what happened, why he took a break. And like he gave a lot of like little like tidbits and sauce and stuff was like, besides all the circle drama and everything that was going there, but like that's so crazy, the shakedowns.
Yeah. And I'm looking at Fallout Zone here, which shout out to Fallout Zone. He's always on the GM Sonic show.
Oh yeah, Fallout. That's why he's wrenched. That's why he's wrenched.
Yeah, but I like that he's, you know, bringing up the Roosh thing here, because that was also a really famous moment on top of multi-chain and everything else. There was this famous, you know, Roosh was this insanely, you know, like I said, you had these guys that had way more to supply, that they weren't people you really wanted to have that much of your supply.
Satan whale.
And yeah, you know, he got liquidated. People were hunting him. People knew he was close to liquidation. There's a whole, not that a normal person would watch a movie about this, but you could literally, I mean, like a Big Short or something scene where literally there's a group chat and like somebody wakes up from, I think it was Liquid Driver, Dr. Liquid.
R.I.P.
Somebody wakes up and is like, fucking like code red. They're like in the group chat, like, Roosh, what, like you are about to get liquidated, like right now. And everybody's freaking out. And at that point, it was too late. He was getting hunted. So he actually, you know, they like, people were like putting in money to try to keep his position up.
Because it would really hurt everything.
Yeah, and it was too late. I mean, just those liquidations alone were insane.
That was not the one I meant to push.
You know,
I was gonna be like,
like just that moment alone was, like it was like we're already just down so bad after multi.
Yeah.
And then it's like that shit happened.
You want to know something crazy? So it could have been crazier. We were so during that whole letter right there. We were so close. Okay, the all-time low of Phantom, even, you know, after all the stuff that happened with the ICO, that was back in 2019. We're talking about a 3-cent Phantom, right? Ooh, pretty nice, right? 3-cent Phantom. They offered Three Arrows Capital as much as they wanted to buy at 1.5 cents. As much, and it may have been 1 penny actually. And they passed. It was one, and actually, this was corroborated by like Suzu or whatever. Suzu did like he did his own little podcast run for a little bit. I think he's like not doing as much now, but like he like last year he had said, yeah, we basically didn't miss anything except for Phantom. Phantom was one of the rare ones we missed, and he was like, it just looked really bad at the time. But he was like saying like honestly, like we were getting such great deals, and because people are coming to us with these great deals, we were essentially getting everything. I mean, basically, everybody was coming to them with people that were actually going to work the whole cycle. That was the important part. So, like, you basically at that time, he's like, basically, we could invest into damn near any L1 and would have won without a cost.
But I mean, look at like Alameda and like you know Caroline, and it's like they're like thinking they're like fucking geniuses, and they're just buying. You know, hey, we'll take 10-15% of anything. It could be dog shit. We don't care. But they're just like, you could just pretty much make money on like anything. You know what I mean?
As long as you have the whole, like you're vertically integrated. Yeah. If you're vertically integrated and you got exchange, you got basically counter traders, you got market book, you know, jump in capital and everything. You got all of it together and marketing on top of it. Yeah, you're going to win.
I mean, it's like, this is crazy to say. And sometimes I say it just cause like it makes everybody mad, but sometimes I'm just like, man, I really miss Alameda. I really miss Alameda just pumping whatever project I had. You know what I mean? Like, because like you said, it was just like, think about the integration. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool. we're gonna buy 10-15% of the supply. That's gonna like pretty much create it in the more of like the good old fashioned, high FDV, low float. By the way, you're instantly going to be on FTX. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like just the whole thing was just like how can you lose on that? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I heard recently they're saying they're gonna do a Netflix movie on Sam Bankman-Fried now.
Dude,
or something.
that would be
like
fun.
just try to trout him or like bring him around as like basically what do you call it? Like they're just gonna try to use that to like stay in the crypto space as long as possible. But I think it'd be interesting to like see like scenes like that and stuff.
I will say
they're gonna whitewash the whole thing.
Oh, of course.
How are they gonna fucking film the gangbang scenes? I want to know that. Was it Chinese Imperial harem?
Dude, it'd probably be way worse than you could ever imagine, to be honest.
I'll say this.
Everyone looks horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got super, I guess because it was also just like market was shit at the time. I got like super vested in that. Like I was actually like reading people's documents, and there was like a podcast, I think it was New York Times, where they went to court every single fucking day and would just come on the podcast the next morning and say, here's like everything that came out yesterday. And dude, when you get like the whole story, I mean, you really could make a movie about it because
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Dude, like there's even at one point, they're all in this chat and it's like some like crazy high up Chinese official. And it's like this whole thing where somehow they got fucked on the deal and they're in there talking about this guy that could like, easily have them all murked. And they're like, did he just fuck us? And like, dude, like the people they were talking to and dealing with and
interesting.
And they were really sloppy with like Signal. So like basically at any time it would be like, everything has to be in Signal. Well, it wasn't, so someone might just say, fuck it, I'm talking to you on Telegram or Discord or so they had a lot more messages than you would think, and the stuff that they were actually talking about.
And Signal's not even that safe. Like they got everything cracked. You guys don't believe the hype.
I don't use it. I mean, because it's like whatever. But I've heard that as well. That it is kind of
everything.
Bullshit,
well,
everything's hacked. Bro.
Yeah,
it's
for sure. Here's the thing that matters, though, right? Are they going to use that information for espionage, which they can easily, right? Or are they going to use that information to take you to court on something? Which that would be illegal for them to do so. So like there's that line in terms of knowing the law too. It's like, well, they may be able to see everything, but they can't necessarily go after everything.
Yeah, like when bros just like, in the Signal GC being like, what do you guys think? Bomb Yemen next week? Yeah, that should be cool.
Fuck, bro,
let's fucking do it. Let's do it, man. Fuck those guys. Like, I think Signal's hacked. I think they got a problem.
For sure. But like I said, like they can't use it against you in court.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like
they can use it against you in the underground court.
Yeah, because they're all like, he knows that I know that he knows that I know, but I can't use any of it.
Right.
So
I mean, that's why the FBI asked for the backdoor to Apple.
Oh yeah,
that was wild.
The CIA, the FBI and the CIA were acting like, Apple, you have to give us permission to use it. They already can do it. They just wanted a legal, they wanted a permission one time. That way they have now we have case law here, basically case law, to show that we can just get into your phone at any time. They can always do that.
Yeah.
But a little FYI, always have a passcode. Never have your face print shit because they have to have you have to get a warrant to unlock your phone.
Passcode gang.
More than 6 digits. The launch code. Yeah, Bitcoin's pumping right now, man. Where are we at right now?
98,850.
You want me to pull it
up? No, not that one. I have to change it to something else. Let me see. Go ahead. Yeah, we're at we're here, but I'm pretty sure on the other exchange. But it's fucking, we're like right there, man. We crossed 100. That's
let's go.
My guess is here we're pumping into about 101 to 104, somewhere in there. Maybe get rejected a little bit, come back down, get some accumulation, and then sometime
sell in May, Charlie. Sell in May.
Right. Yeah, sometime in the second half of this month is where we starting to get going. I think going into the Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you get hype going into a conference, you get a sell off a little bit afterwards. And then right after that, I think at the middle of June, we have the next Fed meeting. So, excuse me, if he makes any rate cut decisions by that point, then.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like hopefully Bitcoin's still moving. Maybe we get some good news, the Fed or whatever.
The Fed's being such a bitch right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, they should have been cutting since January. But
yeah, it's getting interesting. I mean, Then especially when, you know, dude was like, I don't know, rates are probably too low. I'm like, why would they're not? You haven't done anything, so like, why would you even say that?
Right.
Why would you even say that into a microphone right now?
They want real estate to crash. So one of their big hiccups about like I've been tracking them the whole time during like starting from 22 when they started raising rates till now. They've been pissed off of like how much money was kind of like they've hurt the stock market. They crashed crypto. They weren't able to crash real estate. So there's a lot of levered out money that they like. As long as the properties don't fall under a certain percentage, they don't get called. And then there's tons of kind of commercial properties that are all, they basically want a lot of these properties to have to like redo, like a lot of them are running on like 10, 15-year mortgages. Like you can't really get a 30-year mortgage on a commercial property. You know, I mean, maybe you could, maybe it's a special deal, but like you can't. So like a lot of these properties were kind of brought out on interest only on these mega. I mean, we're talking about like, you know, 50 million, 100 million, $200 million properties for commercial properties. And then obviously with COVID, we had essentially the final eroding of like, why do I got to go home? Why do I have an office? Why can't I just work from home? For most people, I mean, you still need business, you know, still need space and shit, but like it kind of got rid of a lot of just regular businesses and kind of like, yeah, what's the point? You know, maybe I should just go on. Like, why should I have a storefront? Let me go on. I mean, my favorite producer of like Barbell Jeans, they don't even have a store anymore. They just fuck it. We just sell online and they'll make more money.
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah. I think it's always cool to have a store just because people want to see it, but like
it's like a marketing. It's more like a marketing cost than it is
Right.
like you're making money on your store. It's like now it's like the opposite. Now it's like, oh, like they must like be doing pretty fucking well if they actually have a brick and mortar somewhere,
Right.
You know, and like they're mostly online. You know, it's seriously, it's almost like it makes me think of like The Office when they're trying to launch the Saber store, and it's like, you know, it's almost just like a money sink. It's like it's more like a marketing thing nowadays, I think. Like,
for sure.
And then it's only profitable if you have a certain amount of volume. Anyway, but you know, with all that being said and everything like that, like we have like the numbers always change, right? But it's like 6, 9, somewhere in there, $1 trillion got to get refinanced like in the next 6 to 9 months, which is now. So like, they have to cut rates somewhere, and we can't like basically Trump doesn't want to have to refinance that debt again at those rates because we're in a little bit of a pickle if we do. And then that's the thing is people don't understand. Most of that $36 trillion of debt is mostly at zero. Most of it, because we went from like what 2011 to like 21 at like zero.
Yeah, I mean just barely above zero. Yeah.
So we're maybe paying like 2%, maybe 3% on 30-year treasuries and stuff like that, and because the government started borrowing tons of money, and and then people don't understand that's pretty smart actually. Fuck you, dude. It's at zero, dog.
Well, yeah.
Borrow to the hilt.
Yep.
But when
there were people saying that, there were people that were just like, you know, I saw like several like, you know, pretty like smart people that were just like, you might think I'm crazy, but I'm going to tell you, borrow as much fucking money as you can, right? Put everything up. Borrow as much money as you can right now.
We call the people who don't listen poors.
Well,
Sell pressure.
I think the other day Michael Saylor literally said, if you want to 10x your money, buy Bitcoin, you know, going for $1 million, right?
Right.
If you want 100x your money, borrow some money from somebody else and buy some Bitcoin. If you want 1,000x your money, right? Borrow from somebody else, leverage it up, long it, and then, you know, buy some Bitcoin, right? So the 3 ways, but
I can think of a nation that's really good at like borrowing money, man. I don't know if you've Weimar Republic.
Very savvy with their money.
Dude, Germans are terrible at money management. I mean, they're
remember when they sold the bottom of Bitcoin?
Oh my god,
they sold like their entire like,
Bitcoin stack, dude.
a $55,000 Bitcoin
at the like fucking bottom, very bottom, pico bottom.
Are they still female led?
Angela Merkel, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I guess she's still in power.
Exhibit 1.
Makes sense.
The best thing about that was when they did that, I was like, it's the bottom. These guys are idiots.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually like lower than the bottom.
Dude, it was perfect. It was like everybody was joking about it. Like, no, this is probably the bottom because these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Yep. The Fed's always late to react. And I will say this is the one weakness Powell does have because he did a pretty good job in COVID. He did. Like, I know like people like, I'm not trying to sound like an apologist here, but he did like, if he did a bad job, we would have done very badly. Very badly.
Yeah, that's funny. It's like, people seem to have problems with him, and I'm like right there with you. I'm like, yeah, like things could be better right now, but there could be people that really fucked things up when we were at our lowest. You know what I mean? So you got to have some respect for him, at least in that regard. Like,
no, he was great. Ben Bernanke did a great job too, but he kind of knew when to peace out. He kind of gave it up to a chick, and then during that chick's term is when they should have started cutting slowly. Like we like the main problem is that we were at zero for too long.
I think that's their problem too. Is
they're always late. They're always late.
Like Breaking Bad, like where like bro says like no half measures.
Right.
It's like they could have been easing into this, but the market doesn't want to react unless it's 50 basis points or you know what I mean. Like, and I agree with you. It's like this could have actually just been very slow, very. I mean, you know what I mean. And but I feel like they were kind of in a way. They've pandered to that a little bit,
right?
Where I think they get pressure to like if you're gonna do this, you need to like give us something to rally about or whatever.
Yeah, and they could have very easily done something as dumb as I mean, this sounds stupid now in hindsight, but like, well, what's smart, but it seems inconsequential. Is like you do 10 basis points every quarter, starting from 2016. They could have done it in 2018, and in 2 years, it starts adding up. It started like we went from zero, we'd be like at 1 and some change. 2, it doesn't like totally rock the markets, and then they could have if we just because historically interest rates are like 2%, 3%. That's usually where they're at, right? We're at 4.25, 450 right now, so we've gone down about 100 basis points since the top of about 550. So we're down 100, but like. He was kind of saying like we're cool here at this rate, but obviously that's not true. We need to lower rates, and they've printed and they bought treasuries recently. So like this whole thing of like, hey, we're letting the balance sheet run off. That was actually a lie.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You just added $30 billion of treasuries. Like you only have they're running off the balance sheet by $5 billion. So you just added $25 billion to the treasuries? I mean, to the balance sheet? Like that's an absolute lie, And that's actually the one thing that was most surprised because I heard the whole thing. They basically said they're still running off the balance sheet. They're only doing $5 billion a month, which versus like the last meeting they were doing $25 billion a month. So that was a good drawdown. But like that $5 billion. That's getting like whatever the number is and times it by 9. That's the real number in terms of money getting taken out of the economy. So it's still a very large number, but it's like what 45 billion? Yeah, $45 billion. But when it was 25, we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars, right? It's a very large amount of money. So it's we basically basically the overnight repo markets, the money's been most of it's been paid back, so it's almost at zero right now, or at zero, damn near. So that can run up. There's ways they can sort of like pump money. It's sort of like because like the most they ever took it to, I think, was like $800 billion, which was kind of like TARP. TARP was like $600 or $800 billion. So like that's a quick little run up. You can rerun up the overnight repo market by doing the same thing they did last time. Everyone's at the table. You have to grab it, and it's based on market cap basically or size. Yeah. And you have to grab it because if everyone doesn't grab it, then we know who's the weak guy, and then everyone will start shorting them. Basically, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna go and like wave down Kyle.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was looking at.
Can you throw me a energy drink or whatever?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I was gonna try to do that when he was still on camera, and then it like was about to pan to you.
Sharing.
Red Bull's fine. No, Red Bull's fine.
But it's the real estate market. I hate this dual. They say the dual mandate. No, that's bullshit. Their mandate is to protect the Fed's ability to print dollars. That's all they care about in absolute terms. Like they don't care. Like one of the main things is like, and actually Tyler was like so blunt with it that I just like he's right. But like, shout out to Tyler. But like he said that like no. The way, if you were actually reading between the lines, are basically saying like, no, we want to cause a bunch of unemployment because that will get rid of the inflation. So out of all the mandates, they do not like. We care about 2% inflation and maximum employment. No, and if your employment is the least thing they care about, then the inflation, then their ability to create dollars. So if they would tank the entire, if it meant protecting their ability to print dollars, they would tank the entire economy down and send us into a damn near depression. If it meant like it's this or we basically get put out of power. All right, then. Crash it. I mean, Paul Volcker did a good thing, but Paul Volcker just basically went 1,700 basis points in one shot. He just went crank, and then
that's
But the instant recession right there. But that stopped when we were in free fall because the dollar was only backed by the military. We also needed to back it by a liquid rock, oil. But speaking of oil, what happened? You think I couldn't leave it together, sir? Professional here. Come on.
No, those guys, they ran that. I think it was Arbitrum the first time they did So when they first came over, there were people kind of like, man, they didn't even make new assets. They just moved this game over, but it was doing well. And I think that it's one of those things where, we had this little Ponzi protocol pop on Sonic, some new Tomb forks and all that stuff. Honestly, I think it was I think those games are not meant to last that long.
Yeah.
And it was I feel like it actually had a pretty good run. And then they were introducing some extra staking and some stuff. I actually don't have any of it, but watching from a standpoint of,
damn it,
I would see it go 60, 70%. And I'm like, well, considering it's basically just a node kind of Ponzi.
Yeah. Saudi Aramco has Infinity Oil.
Yeah. It was, it was doing pretty well.
You see the comment up there?
Let's see.
It's back. It's coming back.
Oh no, I said oil's up 3x today.
Let's go.
Let's take a look at it. Where is it at?
Yeah, pull it up, Charlie.
But no, I'm not hating on it. I met the team. They're nice guys, but I think that, to be honest, I think maybe they were even a little surprised at. It's these games are only supposed to last 4, 5, 6 weeks. They're not supposed to last forever.
Bro, look at that chart. That is crazy.
I heard there was a guy that had an ungodly amount though.
There's always one. We have one in PDI as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, here it's just what from where it broke down.
Dude, you should draw a line dude, it's like a flaccid dick. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's about to come back. It's coming back, right?
Well, hey,
but
if it's coming back, I'm very happy for you guys that are holding it.
It's coming back and it's still down 95%.
Yeah, I think I might cut that one and try to make some X's elsewhere.
That is funny.
I've heard of a token called Goglz.
Yeah, you could always buy leveraged Goglz.
Yeah, fucking 18K in liquidity, bro. But yeah, Goglz chart's looking a little bit better. Yeah. Quite a bit better, actually.
But yeah, that's like I said, in their defense, that's the thing though, is whenever you're doing these Ponzi's, just keep that in mind that Ponzi's games, whatever they want to call it, the only reason Tomb could do what it did last cycle.
Careful now.
Was because we were. Hey, I made a lot of money on Tomb.
Yeah.
I actually, what's funny about Tomb? I'm probably one of the only not jaded people about Tomb. I cashed out at a decent time. I knew it wasn't going to last forever. It's a Ponzi. I actually have no ill will towards that project. Now, a lot of people got hurt very badly. That's not great.
Yeah.
But
how hot's that fire, sir?
but like I said, when you're doing these Ponzi's, you just need to be mindful that they don't last forever. You got to have an exit plan. You should say, we had a whole system for playing Tomb Forks last run, and you could almost to the day based on the tokenomics be okay, you have to be out by day 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever, because after that point you're going off the cliff, and if the flywheel doesn't catch, which it rarely did, then the project's over.
That's why I put 2 Tomb and 3 Tomb. You remember all those?
Dude, I did all those, man. Hell yeah.
I didn't make money on all those games, but I left a lot of money on the table as well, like everyone does.
Oh, I left a ton of money on the table, but I got out with money, which was a lot more than most people can say.
Right. So the real question is, there was somebody on my stream earlier when we were saying, hey, we're going to come over to DCC's channel and talk about Goglz. Somebody had thrown in a super chat and was saying, how high do we think Goglz can go? And so I'll give you a couple market parameters. So it's not
obviously Dracula Press isn't here.
Yeah,
This is somebody else.
And he has an exact price in mind, of course, from inception. No, but no, what do you call it? I'll give you a little bit of a macro market outlook so that you have something to anchor it to. So maybe that doesn't happen anyway. So it's all hypothetical, right? But let's say, right, this summer. So we're not talking about bull market high. We're just talking about this summer. Let's say Bitcoin hits $135,000. Let's say in August or late July or something, right? And Sonic, let's see, where's it at right now in price?
Like 50 cents, probably somewhere around there.
53 cents.
Oh, yeah,
so
we're having a little pump.
so let's say Sonic's like $1.50 to $2, something like that. In that scenario, where would Goggles potentially, hypothetically, be? Hashtag not life or financial advice.
Yeah. Low side, I would say over $1 because it's performed as leveraged S. That's why I just said that. It's kind of like a joke.
Right.
But we've watched it front run big moves. And then if Sonic has big moves, it's Goggles moves even more parabolic. So low side, I would say over $1. High end estimate, 1 Goggles, 1 pair of Gucci goggles.
Oh, baby. How much are those going for these days?
Those are 1,200 or 12.
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
Okay.
1 Goggles, 1 Gucci goggles.
Hey, that's the long-term goal, baby. Cheers to that.
Yeah, but I'll take a Google to 100 though. I'll tell you, that sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's
yeah,
fine.
you think?
That's fine.
Obviously, not financial advice, of course.
This is my financial advice. Do it. Buy
it. All in, baby.
Yeah.
Sell the house.
But yeah, no, I mean,
whoops.
We were talking about this.
They were saying I was getting carried away with the fucking.
No, I mean, a little button to push this way.
Yeah, like we were talking about this before the show. Just how, when you're doing these launches and, any meme token that makes it longer than a month or two, you kind of have these cycles where, Goggles had to get those very early people that are like in super insane profit. It took a while, they're dumping every day or they're, so we had like some suppression and things have been, and then so we had price suppression. And then on top of that, our liquidity, we could not thin the liquidity out because we've, created it to where it's like I've talked about before, where it's more like memefi, kind of gives it a little more value.
Right.
We couldn't thin the liquidity though. And it got into this cycle where I literally can't even control it because the pools are earning enough fees from the trading that I'm not even having to bribe or anything. I'm like, if anything, I'd be like, let me scrape some of that back or something so that we're not having these huge bribes. So we've gotten a lot of those early people out and the liquidity is still high for a meme token. It's still sitting at a little over 1 million in liquidity, which for a meme token that's got, we've been between 5 and 10 million market cap. That's a ton of liquidity.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is that's actually about half of what it was on Phantom. Because there's like I said, there wasn't a lot going on at the end of the cycle.
You were one of the few crossover meme coins that made it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and that's true. A lot died. And some of them died that were actually pretty decent, projects.
Right.
But dude, I mean, on Phantom, it had $2 million in liquidity. And we were just like, we can't move, there's big buys happening. It doesn't move the needle. So it's gotten a lot better in terms of, even though it's still got about 1 million in liquidity, that's still a better environment, at least than 2 million, for moving the price on a meme token. So,
and this is the whole thing we talk about liquidity pools and stuff, you guys, because people ask us about the Illuvium thing, right? And they have $6-7 million. As after Ethereum has dropped 50% again. And when you have that much liquidity, it takes very large purchases to even move the price at all. So when your liquidity is that ridiculous, you could have problems where if the main asset you're paired to goes down, you're stuck at those low prices.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's funny how that works, where it's you have really thick liquidity and you're the price isn't moving up. But when everybody sells, it's going down, and now it's stuck there, and that's so annoying. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the project's a lot of fun, and it's in a good place, and yeah, we're just we kind of have little spurts of building stuff. So got some new stuff that's getting close to being finished, and it should be interesting. So I got kind of some utility stuff that's coming to the chain. And some kind of gamified stuff, and I don't know. It'll be all here probably in the next couple months.
So gamified as in incentive based structure, or in terms of an actual
There's a project I'm working on where it will. I'm trying to think how to word this. Essentially, it will do nothing but buy goggles, put it away, and I think it's gonna like be like a good thing. We've already
By
done.
put it away, you mean send to like a burn address or what?
Yeah, we'll either burn it or we'll just keep it for bribes or whatever.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I got like basically the idea is I got a couple products that they're gonna run tandem the goggles, but they're gonna have utility in terms of like they're gonna earn pure S, but they will like do like incentives for goggles or buy goggles or So
will they help you get Gucci accessories?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be.
I need to see you in a tracksuit one of these days.
Yeah.
Full Richard Hart.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like a full tracksuit, big chain, all that stuff. But yeah, so like that's the idea. Is it's really hard for like to maintain like longevity with like a meme project. And
utility and activity and
yeah. So it's like it's and it's funny. I talked about this one time in that time where there was mostly just memes on Phantom. And then even when Sonic launched, we were waiting for the DeFi to arrive to get ready. And it was just memes there. And I was like, you know what? People complain that there's so many meme tokens. I said, no, fuck that. I said, I want everyone to launch a meme token so they'll get out of my chat to not say when or like this or that or negative. Because I'm like, people will understand that it's hard to keep these things afloat even for 2 weeks, much less months and months and months. And that's why we also leaned in. That was like from the start, part of the plan was kind of leaning into this idea of like memefi, where you could earn kind of almost like DeFi yields, even though it's a meme token.
Right.
Because there are people out there that are like purists. They're like, your meme should not have utility. It should not do this. It should not do that. But
those people sound like the most retarded people on earth because
it's people that were, riding high on Solana meme tokens, thinking that was just like how it is. That's how it's going to last forever. I remember there were people like for Goglz that like during the Sonic migration, people were like busting my balls so hard about like, your supply. You got to move it up to like 1 billion, drop everybody's tokens with like a 10x or whatever, like just to
bad move.
And I was like, no, I'm keeping the supply how it is. And everybody, and like I said, everyone was like on me about it. And I was like, I'm not changing the supply. I like the supply. And that meta died like a month later, the Solana pump fund. Not that it's dead, but compared to what it was doing.
Right.
So what was the sort of the reason for choosing that supply?
Well, this part is kind of funny. Is my idea was like, hey, it would be really nice I was thinking about stuff like Doge or, like kind of like these older memes where I was like, it would be nice if the token launches and if it's worth like 1 or 2 cents, that would be like kind of nice. It'd be kind of cool. It'd be different. It's not worth 0.00000078 per token or what the fuck ever.
Nothing you can ever say to somebody else.
And it's like, I was just kind of like, I don't know. I just don't know if supply bias is like this thing that all the Solana people at the time were on me about. But yeah, that was like my whole thought process was like, oh yeah, and like if it does well, we'll break 1 cent, and that would be kind of cool, like in terms of the supply. And that was all I really had in mind. And then of course, we are at where we are now.
And people only choose 1 billion because that's kind of like the standard issue on Pump Fund.
Yeah. That's like
well, people are followers. That's the thing, is like just a bunch of fucking lemmings that like want to have something in the short term, but they don't look at like the long term. So it's like, I do appreciate founders, even if it's like a project that has no core fundamentals, but has a lot of utility, has a lot of stuff going on, a lot of activity, as long as, people are trying to go for building something long term. Like, I truly think that's where projects make the most money, founders make the most money, communities make the most money. Like, everybody does well, versus like if you just pump and dump this shit into Kingdom Come, then you just have player versus player all the time, and nobody ever does well, and everybody's pissed off at each other, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I'm a DeFi guy at heart. Like almost all the projects I ever worked on were like DeFi projects. Had helped out with a couple memes on like Phantom and like Sonic, but they were more like me like collabing with other people in the space already. So yeah, I mean, Goglz was kind of like my first real like this is like my meme token or whatever. So yeah, like I was always just kind of like particular about like the architecture of it, you know.
Is there anybody that you've blocked either on Twitter or Telegram, or anybody that you're just like what kind of what does it take to get a block from Dracula Presley?
It's actually really hard for me to block you.
Okay.
It's pretty hard. Now, there was a guy.
Was he French?
I think he was French.
No, I thought
his name was Pierre. No, I'm just kidding. But there was a guy that kept saying, he goes, I don't even know where he got it from, but he was like saying that Phantom Goat owns Goggles and Shadow.
Oh,
and
yes.
I kept correcting him.
Yeah,
I'd hop in there and say, listen, I can't tell somebody to not buy my token. Neither can Shadow. Like, yes, he has a lot of our tokens, but I don't know how this means it's his project. And he'd go, oh, okay, bro, cool. Like, you're right. Then 2 days later, tags me again. Like, Phantom Goat, like, blah, 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 owns Goggles, owns Shadow. And like, he did this like 2 or 3 times where I would like call him out and be like, bro, like, I'm here telling you it's my project. It's not Phantom Goat's.
Right.
And
it's not like buying stock.
And it would be like the same thing. He'd just be like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, bro. Yeah, got it. And I'm like, well, why do you keep saying it? So I did have to block that guy. But
That's
honestly,
did he end up selling?
Which guy?
Well, that guy.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, because that's the funny part. Is
well, it's good you get a bad actor.
You're more likely to block me than I am to block you. I'll tell you, like, I piss people off all the time.
Well, and I like founders like that because like there's some people out here like they can't take like one little criticism or whatever.
You can't be soft.
Exactly.
You gotta, and that's the thing. Sometimes people just write shit to me and I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But honestly, like,
or you don't take it that seriously because it's some fucking dude.
I mean, I guess in a sense, like, I am kind of lucky that I don't actually get like a ton of that. Like right when the market did like tank, like right when Sonic launched, like, not that was necessarily even just Sonic, it was the whole market. That's when you get people.
But it's still your fault.
Yeah, like I had like a good bit of people then, but like I said, it's like it's pretty hard to like make me like I'm gonna block this guy. I'll just say something smart ass, and you got to draw a line though, because then there's like things you read where I'm like, this guy has like 20 followers. What he's saying is batshit. By me interacting with it, it's actually going to put more eyes on it than because of the algo and everything.
Absolutely.
So if it's like a good conspiracy or something halfway fleshed out, I'll at least hop in there and say, hey, here's why you're wrong.
Yeah.
But when it's just like people just being like totally insane, like there's people that like said I was the Phantom Goat.
Right.
I'm still kind of believing that a little bit.
No,
I mean, but you didn't like it. You didn't like Go competing with Goggles, and now it doesn't exist anymore.
Hey, created a WWE match where he had to block himself.
Yeah. That's right. We fucking sunk them. So how dare you even think that I'm that guy? No,
Titanic and then the Fed. I'm just saying.
But no, and then like for instance, every like while we're talking about Phantom Goat, it's like there's every so often that for some reason, even though he doesn't seem very active nowadays, people get back into like who he is.
Right.
So as a joke, this was like beginning of 2024. There was a conversation and I wrote something sarcastic saying that I can confirm Blake Hooper is the Phantom Goat, which Blake Hooper is the founder. Blake Hooper is the founder of Equalizer. And literally just this week, I wrote this in like March of 2024, just totally like, it was like we were all kidding around in a thread. People have been liking the post, and there's a guy that has like a whole thesis where he's like, look here, Dracula confirms a year ago that Blake Hooper is the Phantom Goat.
Oh man.
So now I'm like, I'm like, it was a joke. I wasn't being serious, but yeah, like, I don't know. So yeah, you get more crazy people than like reasonable people.
But that is the both like there's like such great things to being a founder, especially to a successful project, and there's negatives to it. It's like being everyone wants to be famous until they're really famous.
Yeah.
And then you can't even go to the store anymore. It's
except for Kevin Bacon, he loves it.
Oh, Kevin Bacon's awesome. Yeah, he was in Tremors, right?
Yeah,
fucking incredible. He should have done the second one, but
Apollo 13.
Yeah, but he was incredible guy. But like it's sort of like it's so funny. Like I used to see Clint Eastwood all the time buying ice cream at Safeway.
Right,
cool dude, man. But he was like.
Classic Clint.
Just buying Rocky Road and Strawberry. But I got off track right there. I just lost my train of thought with that.
Goggles to $1 million. That's
Goggles to $1 million. But like that's the whole thing about being a founder and stuff is like, you know, your voice gets amplified and you basically have become famous because you're a player in the game. It doesn't matter to what size or how big or how small, but it's sort of like, oh, you're not the normal pleb.
Right.
Basically. So like, let me listen. And like, and as much as like influencers, no matter how, I think BitBoy at one point got that big and ran when the market's hot. He's that big.
In terms of what do you mean?
In terms of how much power they have in terms of like, people listening truly versus like a founder where the project's doing decently okay or really good. Like they're like you say when Hex was at 50 cents, Richard could say anything.
Correct.
Anything. I just hit some bitch in the face. and then you'd be like, sometimes you got to do it. Sean Connery did it. Like, sometimes when you're left no option.
What did she say?
What did she say?
Yeah. First, let's find out what she said.
Yeah, and it's so funny. You hear the whole thing. It's like I'm not saying Chris Brown should have beat up Rihanna, but what the fuck was she saying right before that ass whooping? Basically, gave him herpes.
Man.
And gave herpes to like a ton of other dudes. Apparently, allegedly.
Hey,
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
And caught her in the broom closet sucking some dude off at a party.
Yikes.
Damn. You got the alpha.
Broom closet game.
Broom closet game. New coin Witch coming out soon. Which way is it going to go? I don't know. But yeah, we actually might get $100,000 Bitcoin this stream. We might actually.
Yeah, where are we at
We're
right
so
now?
close, dude.
Yeah,
we're at 99,350, baby.
Oh shit.
It was up to 890.
Look at that move, baby. Right off the bottoms. Right off those bottoms.
And I don't have a
Boom,
laptop
boom.
to
So
short
sit
the
down.
rejection.
Where are you?
I don't have a laptop where I can short the rejection when it
Well,
taps 100 there.
Short the rejection.
You know what? Well,
I'm coming to Dracula's Escote now.
You know what's really interesting about this price pattern here is you see this like kind of it's not a triple bottom, but it's like 3 lower lows and then an accumulation area and then a break above previous high, support around there, and then breakout. I think this is the same pattern you're going to see among like most cryptos. Like if you look at here, right, you kind of get this lower low similar to Bitcoin, right? You get this bullish divergence here. Come up, you get support. Now all it needs to do, like Bitcoin, is get above this area that it broke down from, use that as support. And then once it starts, like basically, if it were equivalent to like 100K Bitcoin price pattern, like you'd have to get it up to about 75, 80 cents right now to where Bitcoin is, right? And then like its previous high is up here at what, $1, just in terms of Sonic, not in terms of Phantom, right? That would be like Bitcoin getting past 109. So I think if we get Bitcoin, going here, you're going to start seeing Phantom, follow real damn quick. But like even something right now, like we got Radium here starting to look decent. Still cheap though, under 260. It's right around 260 now. But I think Sui, well, that's gone. Yeah, literally like a couple hours ago during the stream, I was saying like, hey, around that 330 area, it's still good under 350, and like boom, it's now back above 370 almost. So
nobody's above 5 million now.
Literally, I said that was going to happen if Bitcoin started going towards 100, and it's literally happening within like 5 hours after I said it. So that's crazy.
It's like I want to hurt myself when like I have like these guys that like they were all just like really early on Sui, and they get upset with me. They were like we have a group chat, and they were just like, "Have you bought any?" And it was under $1, and I'm like, "I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying it." Like, dude, you better fucking buy it. We're buying so much, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then it's like, I watch it just march right back up to.
Hey, last chance here.
I know.
You still get a 10x in it.
I know. I'm like, God, man. Like, I'm going to listen. That was me.
That's funny.
But look, here's the thing. You can't get into everything.
Correct.
But if you fade my role in the craps table, you will regret it.
Hey,
I know that was your fault, though.
Last night I faded it for a second, but that was because we were on what do you call it? The whole casino was on a little bit of a trip there. But hey,
bro had
still made money.
Bro had an audience last night. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, we
you had a whole. I rolled up.
Murderers Row. We had Murderers Row.
There was just literally me and Miguel at the table. Only the other people had left.
You had like 10, 11 people like watching.
Oh yeah, we had a full table by the end of it. Yeah, for sure.
Like just watching you guys
play. And then some asshole had that, like it wasn't when you were rolling, but some other guy was rolling. The one guy, new guy at the table, comes up, puts his hand down to put his money down. Literally, the dice hit his hands. 7. Everything else from there was just absolutely dog shit.
Touched his loser energy.
Exactly.
That's what
pleb energy.
Numerology. Anyway, watch, he's a 9. No, but Are the bulls taking over? I mean, we took a big dip. I mean, we went down to 70K.
Yeah.
Like that was a pretty sizable dip. Now during those times, like
I mean, to be honest, right now there's
like during those goddamn times, I was telling them boys the bull market wasn't over. But at the same time, like this is when their case is pretty strong that like at some point they're going to be right. Just like bulls are always right at some point,
right?
The bears are always right at some point as well. Right.
But like
it's just that bears are always saying we're going to 28K or some shit.
Right.
Chateau Vase.
Well, with how bad like the macro market is right now and no change in rates and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Like
there's a little money printing now.
Crypto could be like just kind of sitting in the doldrums, but like I think we're getting this much movement in May already. Like by the time we get to June, like this is going to be explosive. I mean, we probably are going towards $130,000 Bitcoin within this summer.
Hey, someone here is mentioning Trump's news. Now, all I've seen about that is that clip where he's like, "There's going to be news, and it's going to be really good news." Like, does anybody have any idea what we're looking at here tomorrow? I haven't.
Stable bill, maybe.
But is it crypto centric? Because he was stable. He did say like, what do you call it? Like, hey, we're going to Qatar, we're meeting with Saudi Arabia and stuff. And then he said, oh, by the way, we have news coming out next Monday. So I wasn't sure if that was related or something totally
People
different.
are speculating. There wasn't 100. You're right. There wasn't 100%, but they're speculating that it could be crypto related. Maybe more stuff on the stablecoin bill and
or
then
tariffs.
The big one that I'm looking for. I mean, sure, some stuff. I mean, I would really love it if we had just like I would love a 1041 exchange where like if I saw a crypto, I got 6, 7, 8 months to get into another crypto.
Yeah.
You know, if it ain't turning to ass, cash, or grass, then I shouldn't be taxed, basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if I sold crypto to stable, fair, okay, I did okay. But if I sold Ethereum to Bitcoin or Bitcoin to this, or that time I'm in a stable is only an intermediary point to get into another crypto, then like there has like that's what that would help us out so much because man, if that would be so incredible. Like if imagine if it cuts down the time, like if you were in an asset for over a year, you sell into another asset, you have to spend at least 6 months to get the full capital gains, the dog. Just because we need something like in the tech industry, right? They gave them almost 25 years of essentially no taxes on e-commerce.
It's crazy, man.
Versus retail. I mean, they basically fucked over retail. And then they're like, here, Walmart, we're going to give you Walmart, Target, we're going to give you a little sauce here so you can survive. But everyone else, Kmart, screw you guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I highly doubt like it could be a tax related announcement, but
which would be great.
Probably be more general. Yeah.
But the one I'm looking for is more of like kind of a PENDOS, an order of operations. If you want to make a crypto company legally in the States, here's the frame. We need framework.
Yes.
That's what we need. We like this is how you keep your ass out of jail. You want to make a coin? You can make meme coins. Cool. If you want to make a utility, that's because you can't make a utility token technically. I mean, ask Uniswap.
Yeah, I think if it is crypto related, like the only thing that would be on the level of like macro big news for everybody would be like a stablecoin bill.
Yeah.
So that's
the closest one we're on right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but besides that, I think it's probably something else. Maybe better deal with India. No
capital gains and manufacture. Capital gains is not that bad because you locked in the gains. The problem is like you don't mind paying capital gains when it's the end of the cycle and you're cashing out entirely.
Yeah, it's just what percentage is fair.
I have gotten like the real look of it because like I'm looking out to the casinos right now. I'm looking at the Plaza right now.
Hey, we could just take. He couldn't get to Vienna, but we can take him to the Venetian. Venetian.
It's a whole new world.
I had to crack that dad joke at some point.
That was funny as hell. It was like, you might not be in Vienna, but we can go to the Venetian.
Hey, it's close. It's close.
I'll take it,
baby. This ain't Paris, but we're. but I'm gonna show you my wee. But
baguette.
Yeah. It's actually a decent. It's actually Paris is a decent casino and everything like that, or a decent like hotel.
It's one of the few places I've never been in here.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Been to it.
Very like in the front, it's very Paris, how you think generically as an American.
Yeah,
and then it's very like Creole. Like it's very like it gets
French Quarter.
Yeah, it gets real Louisiana.
Yeah,
real Louisiana.
Never go to the New Orleans, by the way.
Oh,
New Orleans is a trash, bro.
Charlie. I mean, maybe sponsored later.
Oh yeah.
Tits,
okay, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, we got a gambling channel in the works right now. Soon enough, we'll have you on there. Like we're here with Dracula Presley. We're betting the entire Google Goggles on the come out.
The only place somebody's gotten the whole like craps table ever the most messed up was at the Orleans. I was there,
Really?
bro. It was hilarious. I was rolling, right?
Yeah.
Rolling, doing pretty good. Everybody's making some money. Had like stuff on all sorts of numbers or whatever. I roll one. I'm pretty sure it was like a 5, right?
Yeah.
And I got paid on the 5, so I was waiting for my payments. The lady starts clearing all the chips off the board, and she was like, "It was a 7." I'm like,
"What?
Okay."
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's far, you can't quite see perfectly, right? I'm like, okay, right? She starts clearing it, but the other half of the table, the chips were still all where they were, right? It was crazy. And like the other guy at the end of the table, I was like, "Was that a 7?" He was like, "No."
You know who's always done it to me? It's always been Indian ladies.
I think she might have been.
No,
actually.
shut
I maybe I have to.
Pakistan now this.
But it was crazy.
So
So like,
really? Oh, okay, I'll play later. It's
so
fine.
like they were trying to make up for it, right?
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Okay, put them back on the table or whatever." And then she put it back on the table, and then she was like, "Did you also have this number or whatever?" And it was like an extra number, like an extra one bet. I was like, "Of course, yes, of course, yeah, I did." Right. And so basically, you got the extra bet. Then they actually let the roll go a little bit, so everybody made some money. They wouldn't say anything, and then then they cleared the table. I was
Imagine
like,
a dealer that's like, "Yeah, you had that number right," and you're like, "Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I'm sure she kept her job a long time after that."
Well, like I think they were trying to make up because you could see the pit boss was kind of like embarrassed with that because
that
like
was
that's
pretty bad. That's
I've never
pretty
seen that happen.
That's
in
the
a
worst
crib.
I've ever heard.
Because especially if the rolls been like more than a couple rolls, people have been profit, and then they decide, you know what, screw it, let me take all my money back. They've essentially lost money on that roll because it gave money and everybody took their money off the table. So they just free rolled, gave everyone money.
Right.
Yeah, which is not good.
But Money Gang Crypto says ETH is pumping off Kanye's new song.
Oh, really?
I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, basically with the because like their new upgrade went live right now. They're like, if the current volume they're doing right now in 1900, which is pretty bad, but it's actually good because from 14, who bought that $1,400? I did.
That 1900 already.
That's a
good move. That's a good move.
That's a very rare, nice Ethereum pump.
Yeah. Very
like
rare.
look at the candles. You don't see a lot of candles like that,
right?
Yeah, I mean it's so it's a 19 and flat right now. Let me see.
Yeah, $1,903 right now.
It's at 1911.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, but when it was at 1480, 1400, who had the balls to buy? Almost nobody.
Yep.
Dude, I
shout out to Myron. He bought.
Yep.
Myron bought.
Oh, Myron buy any
gotta
price.
say, dude, Ethereum is a cursed fucking token. But I have a similar thing where it's basically like if Ethereum's under $2,000, I'll buy. You know what I mean? Like, so I bought some when it
I
was
swore
down
off buying
that way.
it too. I did. I was like, I'm done with Ethereum. But like, and even when it went down to when it went down to 18 and 16, when it hit 14, I was like, I have to.
Yeah, I bought there. I bought in that
Yeah.
area because it's like it's gonna at least go back to 2K at some point. You can count on that. I mean, if not more, but
Absolutely.
you know, that's like kind of an easy trade usually.
You know what coin's been holding up really well in the dips? Doge.
Mm.
Believe it or not, because I mean, like Doge, like in terms of the coins slated to get ETFs, like 99% chance are going to get the ETF. It's Solana, Doge, XRP, Litecoin.
Yeah,
right now, like that's after whatever they fix up with the Ethereum ETF, and I think we're going to start getting basically like basket ETFs eventually, which is how maybe a
There's at least
suite
one
can
or
get
two
in.
of them.
Yeah. I know there's one that exists, but I think it's a foreign one. I think it's Canada.
No, I
Is
think there'll
Canada?
be one. I don't remember, but there'll be one or two of them that are trying to come out soon. I think like Eric Seifert from Bloomberg Intelligence. He's like the ETF analyst or whatever. He's been saying majority of them, like 80-90% of them will all be coming out October, November.
Wow.
Got it. Okay.
So there's going to be a lot of hype running into that. So I think, if we get a run into the early midsummer, that'll be
timing. Yeah.
That'll be way before that. We start like when we had the hype for Bitcoin's ETF, it was from October of 23 into January of 24 when it actually got released. So it's about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 months before October would be what? June, July.
Yeah.
So if we get a pump into July based on just Bitcoin having been cheap and the market kind of coming back, then I think like once we cool off a little bit, maybe in July and maybe in August, then we can get basically like, because we haven't had like an extended pump besides like the one that happened in late 23, early 24. That was like 6 months. But we could be at the very beginning of like a 6 month run right now that leads us into like October, which would be pretty fucking good. And
Yeah,
maybe it
nice
just might have like an intermission point in August or July or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part for sure. Is just that I would almost sometimes hate when you would see some of these moves and you're just like, like I want all those things that just like hit nicely, hit around the same time. So yeah, that could carry us into that pretty well, I think.
Yeah,
let's do it. And I think Hextralians too said thinks Trump's gonna announce a BitBoy fight.
That would be awesome.
I mean, hey, shout out to Ben, man. Hope you're doing okay, brother.
Yeah, right.
Pull up that super chat real quick. Just when you got one. All right, Ricky Romero, man. What do y'all think is a very big announcement, very positive that Trump said? He's probably going to, part of the announcement for sure, he's going to notice it. He's running kind of a contest right now for people, the top holders of Trump coin, that he's going to hold a big dinner at Mar-a-Lago and they're going to be able to meet Trump. So that's semi-useful if you have a large amount of Trump token. But that's a lot of tokens.
Yeah, what was it? It was like you had to be a top 200 holder.
Or 100 holder. It's
100, yeah. So people are going to be dropping cash on that.
Well, so far for the day, if we look at the top coins I pumped, like it's one of the. Do I have my screen up? Can you pull my screen up, Go? Oh, I'm sorry. The other screen. Sorry. Here, I'll pull it up.
He's got it.
He's good. You good? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So basically, Trump's like it's only up 9%, but like, damn, what's the supply on this? Yeah. So you're still have 80% of the supply not out, only 20%. So. I mean, to be a top holder is pretty.
Yeah, now based on that chart, like now's a good time where it's finding support. Bitcoin's pumping. Things are going to ramp up a bit. Like it's not a bad time to like try to buy that little bit of a breakout off the recent lows.
Yeah, let me see. If I go off a Soul Scan right now, which I know isn't accurate 100%, but like you're a top 100 holder in Trump token, it cost about $1.8 million to be a top 100 holder. Right, current price right now. Obviously, there's some exchanges that are listed in there, but
just so you can go eat a Big Mac at the White House.
Yeah. Dude, I love that he gave those football players.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Was that
you know what Trump hasn't done? You know what he should do is like he should meet Obama in a tan suit. Because that was like one of the biggest scandals of like the fucking Obama administration. Suit, not bombing all those children, but like in the weddings and shit.
You're not the drone strikes.
Or deporting all those people or separating families and stuff in cages. It was this dude wearing a tan suit.
Yeah, I mean, like Lil Boozy says here, free Diddy. Free SBS.
I just not Mashinsky. Anybody but Mashinsky.
Mashinsky got some serious years on him. He got sent some crazy years.
What is it, official sentence, or is that just what they're trying to charge him with right now?
I thought it was the official. I thought he got 20 years.
I think that's what they're trying to charge him with right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
he might
work his way around it.
Israeli counterintelligence, and we know how friendly they are right now in the government.
Exactly.
But India and Pakistan.
Fun times.
Yeah, there'll be a new iron nuclear deal or something, mineral trade deal. Yeah, I mean the trade deal is going to be pretty big, and then
right.
There's a lot of there's actually been some little conspiracy theory that have been running in Mexico for a long time. So you know where all the drug cartels are at, and it's like I'm pretty sure you guys heard of like Guadalajara, Michoacan, those kind of areas, right? Well, it's mostly in Michoacan. That is the main kind of central area where like El Chapo's from, and all these stories you hear about Mexico. It's just a really fertile triangle of an area where like you can basically make poppy and you can make coke, you make weed, you can make it's Sinaloa, right? And Sinaloa, you know all those Michoacan. So there's a huge deposit of rare earth minerals there. I'm talking massive. I'm talking about one of the largest ones, and might be one of the reasons they're trying to. And then eminent domain down there, and then start, because like even our town, the town where we're from in Mexico, it used to be a giant silver and gold mine and stuff like that. That's why like all the churches, like all the silvers, they've taken it all away. Except if you go to the churches, like very poor village, and the church is adorned in gold, bro.
Yeah,
like there's some churches there. You go there, dude, and you're just like, damn, damn,
half a ton bell. Of gold.
Of gold.
God,
yeah. Like, and it's factually. Yes. And like, also there's like some miracle that happened there. Like people tried to steal like the cross he was on had some like embroidery, had stuff on it. They tried to steal it, and the cross doubled in size, so they couldn't even fit it out of the door or something like that. So it became like a huge like place for like people travel. I did it before too, like where you have to go on your hands and knees, like what is it, quarter mile? Not a quarter mile, but like
it's like a quarter mile.
Quarter mile on your hands and knees, like this. That's an ab workout, ladies and gentlemen. Now your knees are destroyed, but like then you're just like you're just like going for it as a kid. But it's really beautiful, very beautiful church and stuff. But like that's where all the money went.
Yep. Interesting.
Well, besides exporting all the silver, because that was a huge part of the Mexico economy back.
If you get all those guys into meme coins, baby.
Yeah, we need to onboard all these Avalanche man.
Get them on chain with Avalanche first.
You think the CIA will go after the cartels? Dog, they're in cahoots with the cartels. What are you talking about?
That's what I think. But
yeah,
you know.
I think they're gonna. I mean, like the main guy who got the real guy that was running the biggest cartel in Mexico. What's called? Is it Mayo, right? Mayo?
Mayo Zambada.
Yeah, Mayo, right? So you heard about El Chapo, right? El Chapo worked for Mayo. People didn't even know that at all, and so he had been the shadow guy running the cartels. He basically was just living in the mountains the entire time
for 20 years.
More than that. And that's like I'm talking about like
no one had a photo of him.
No one even had. They had a very, very, very old photo when he was still kind of youngish, like maybe like early 40s, and like he basically turned himself into the government, and then got extradited to the United States, and that pretty much was there was some deal going on to like probably let my family go.
It was El Chapo's sons.
Yeah,
supposedly that turned him in, and that's where the civil war is going on in
Wow.
Sinaloa.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird shit going, but that was weird. That was the weirdest one. Is like because like they had accident. So the local police had like did a raid on this small like basically this small house. It was a party house when they're doing drugs and just partying and shit with chicks, and like oh shit, we called in the SWAT and everything like that, and it's El Chapo's son.
It's El Raton.
Oh, hey, we did not like the guys in the SWAT team and stuff like dog.
Yeah,
my bad. We did not mean to do this, and it became this huge thing. And basically, they just let him go after that.
Wow,
they had to, or there was going to be some trouble.
It was a giant war they called the Culiacanazo, where the entire city of Culiacan was literally taken over by cartel.
Yeah. Like imagine, like I don't know, like the whole state of Arizona just flew to this one town. Like I mean, just it was pretty crazy. It was a really crazy thing. And then at that point, I think that was the final. Like he got away with it, but that was the nail where like, all right, that's the top. We need a tame this down. I don't even like talking about it because I find it ridiculous. Like I find it's cool. It's kind of we're trying to romanticize like what they did with Italian Americans and stuff into that. But it's just and even the Italian Americans, what they did in the mafia was disgusting.
Oh yeah,
they did horrible things.
This entire town was built on it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, entirely. I mean, like how many fucking dead? There's certain areas they just will not dig up because of all the. I mean, Lake Mead dries up and they keep finding bodies in barrels.
They even have advertisements when I first came to Vegas. I thought it was hilarious. They have the billboards for the lawyers. They're like, if you find a body in Lake Mead, you could like get a bonus or some crazy shit.
Like, you may be owed compensation.
Right.
Might be owed compensation.
Like fucked up.
Demetrius Law, we win.
Looks like the local top's probably in because the sit down says I'm back. I took a walk and a breather.
Woo!
Bought some Pulse X today. Screw it. What's up? Well, uh-oh.
Well, I gotta go. Welcome to Sunday Night Football. This is Gary Black today here. He is awoken from his hibernation.
And he is called the local top now. Joking.
Don't even say that. You a mess. Shout out to Sit Down, man. I'm glad you're still here, man.
For sure.
Yeah, we're still at 99 right now. Yeah.
Break it,
man. Break it.
Steak dinners, anyone?
Yeah, rip me.
Yeah, and the Mexican president. Yeah, like the Mexican president's also an asset of BlackRock. Like she's the first Jewish like president of Mexico. That's 98% Catholic. 2%,
that's so wild to me.
2% Mormon.
That's so wild to me.
I'd be less like I'd be like there's a historical reason why the Mormons are in Mexico. So if we had a Mormon president for like Mexico, I'd be like, all right.
Dude, I love those. Like I've like read, like listened to podcasts, like read stuff about that. Like it's so wild when the Mormons were like down in Mexico, like turn of the century, and just like crazy, like people like shooting each other.
If you're in town, brother, I'll meet you. Let's go.
Yeah. Like like people just like straight up just like killing people, like over being like, nah, get the hell out of here. Like people come from the US down there trying to like fuck with them, and like, dude, it's wild.
I mean, I've seen the Mormons fight back the cartel and win.
They had to,
They win.
I think that was one of the first things I saw. I think it was a Vice thing about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it Romney? I think it was Romney. He was trying to petition to sell arms to the Mormons.
Yeah,
in
it was
Mexico.
his,
Really?
Yeah,
it was like his family's community that was like part of that documentary.
Oh, really?
They were like fighting the cartel. So it was insane, dude. But
the whole chat's so mad at sit down. Thanks a lot for that noise. I got one worse. It's just I won't even play. I got a Wii meme one that's so loud that I'm like I don't even play because it's scary.
I can tone it down manually here.
Did you really?
Here, let me see. It's this one, right? Okay.
Oh my god! We had it at 13%. You guys.
It's that loud, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try it. Here we go.
6% now.
Just kill everybody's ears. Yeah.
Oh man, it kept going.
The viewership on me keeps climbing, Charlie. Let's get us to 400 live viewers, man.
I think I what do you call it? During one of the streams, I alluded to potentially the what do you call it? The reclamation of the Oni-chan meme.
No,
but
have you played it yet?
No, I played the very beginning of it, and somebody in the comment section was like, "Well, I used to have to like be careful of like when I would put my stream on with you guys, you know." So basically, like, you know, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll keep that one off the board. You know, like we'll keep it family friendly so you guys can play it on your TVs, play it on your phones.
Oni-chan has quite a story, kind of a checkered past.
I mean, I can put it on.
No, we won't play it. It's all right.
No.
That's
We'll,
I'll leave the Charlie's channel.
No, not even that. Like, what do you call it? We'll spare everybody and their you know, relationships and with their bosses and everything. You know.
Yeah, man. At the bottom of Lake Tahoe. Huh. I don't know.
The bodies, yeah, because they don't float in Lake Tahoe.
Oh, it's too much salt content?
No, it's the density of the water. I don't know if it's.
It has to do with salt. That's the reason you float in the Dead Sea. It's just all salt, basically, and barely any water. Where can I send a bunch of your VTuber clips to Harvest for sound?
To Kyle
I'll make a Dropbox.
Yeah, but Kyle make a Dropbox. But I don't know. I hear those stakes of Colin.
Yes, and stuff. So let's get to it. So obviously, like you know, we're in Sonic, right? What is like your bare minimum you think this run, right? Because obviously, like a lot of it, of course, like the thermometer, it's based off of like Bitcoin, right? Like how high we can go that gives us runway, right? But if you're being like peak bearish, like where do you think do we just hit like Phantom's all time high?
Yeah, I'd say like peak bearish. I think it's, geez, that's even hard to say.
369.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, 369 somewhere around there. But I truly, in my opinion, I think like if the market moves the way I think we might see it move, like going into 2026. I think like I kind of have this number in my head, somewhere between like $6 and $7 is what I'm.
We're not far off, man.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at, and I think it's very doable. So
yeah, I think it's well within reason.
Yeah.
My bearish has been $5, but I've been saying $8.
Yeah,
because numerology.
Hey, if Ethereum, if Ethereum hits 10,000, I say 12.
I guess it just because it depends on like what we see happen here.
Yep.
Where I'm kind of and this isn't to be like a bear, but it's like I'm kind of like starting to lean towards like I don't know if we have like that insane euphoria phase that we had where shit just is like unreasonable.
Yep.
So I think like,
NFT unreasonable.
So I think like $6-7 if like we have like the market go away. I think it's probably gonna but honestly I think like upside like if we get some of that like euphoria maybe 11, 12 something like that.
You hear me trying to buy an NBA team? Tell me to sell.
Yeah. Hey, MLS first.
You
gotta start.
If me and Charlie are like we're about to make a very sizable investment into MLS. Dogs, time to sell.
Yeah, it's like that story I told. I was telling him. I think you were doing something last time, but I was telling him this. No, we were at the restaurant. Okay. I was telling that story about how it was a project that was my project, and I was telling guys to sell, and they still didn't sell.
Right.
I was going, guys, like we were like peak. Yeah, it was when like Phantom was like 350 or what. And I'm telling these guys to sell, and they still were like, "Nah, bro, like we're not selling yet." They wrote it all the way down.
Yeah. It's like when Satoshi tells you to sell. No.
Yeah, it's like I'm telling you to sell. Like
you'll be under. I mean, you guys don't understand. Like, I mean, obviously, just like everyone's just people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as much as we try to with the guys at the top of the Emerald Tower, they're just people. At the end of the day, right? the top, like legitimately, like if you're relatively smart, even a person's really smart, they're like 2 standard deviations smarter than you maximum. And that's even Richard Hart as an example. Like you could be in the 120s and Richard could be like 140 or 150. And it's not like this huge cliff and shit, but like, yeah, if you're 60, I mean, damn, everyone's smart, right? If we're eating crayons, but like, it's like everything, right? If you go to college and you've been in a fraternity and you're with frat bros, that's how a lot of VCs are. They're frat bros.
Yeah,
they really, really are. It's just there's a huge part in life which isn't talked about too much, but like it's said on YouTube, but it sounds like everyone keeps saying this. I hate to hear, your net worth is equal to your basically network.
Yeah.
Right. So, being a little bit more, I hate social butterfly. It sounds so gay, but you being social and making friends and making like, I hate to, you don't want to commoditize friendship, right? You're like, I'm friends with him because he's this person.
Right.
And like, you've got 1 million subscribers. You get a car. You get away from a homeless person. You
basically how Sneaker runs his business.
I mean, well, anyway, yeah. But it's that sort of thing. So like, but you put yourself into like advantageous positions, right? The reason people join most times the reason people join fraternities is just basically get laid, or at least like, dog, I never get invited to parties.
Easier business networking.
Yep.
After college too.
After college, that's the alumni.
Skull and Bones.
H.
Shout out. Coinbase is technically part of it.
They're all they mostly hire Skull and Crossbones.
Yep.
Like,
well, because it's like it's a good point, because it's like there are people that are very talented traders, right? But if you think about it, most of these like VC networks, it's more like you're just an insider,
right?
Than like you're actually have any kind of skill or analysis or. So I mean,
don't say that about Brian Armstrong.
I was going to say,
but I'm just saying, like the networking stuff, it is like an important, part, because I've seen that too, where it's just like I've always tried to like I said, it was like you're more likely to block me than I am you. It's like I've always just felt like there's rarely a reason that's like a good reason to like totally burn a bridge,
right?
And there's been so many things that have come my way where it's been like somebody I met on like some minuscule thing like 3 or 4 years ago, and now they're like in a position to like be like, hey, like you want to work on this thing or like whatever. So I mean, like it is important, and,
you never know where people end up. I mean, there might be some people watching this stream right now that like 4 years from now, 5 years from now, like, oh shit, bro, like let's work on a project or whatever. You never know, right?
So with that, you guys, man, where can I follow you guys?
Hey, at Dracula Presley on X. And also, we stream GM Sonic, which is, a Sonic Eco based stream. We're mostly on X. We do have a YouTube, but on X, it's OXGM Sonic, and at Sonic Ecosystem is where like we pretty much push the episodes. And we don't have I've said this a couple of times, like our majority of our viewers are on X, but we do have a YouTube channel. It's at GM_Sonic. The joke is that if you go to at GM Sonic on YouTube, it's actually some very questionable Sonic content. So, and I'm not kidding about that. That's not me being like joking. So at GM_Sonic on YouTube.
Make sure you got the underscore.
Yeah, I put the underscore in there.
I like that.
So with that, Charlie.
You can follow me at Cultivate Crypto on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Just Cultivate Crypto. But yeah, go follow me on YouTube. Did the Richard Hart stream earlier today. Go take a look at that. Lots of good stuff there. So we'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on that channel as well.
So thank you. And then for me, I will be live tomorrow at 7 p.m. We're going to do I wasn't able to attend the last cigar stream, but we're live in Las Vegas. So we're going to do a cigar stream with RG3. And I think you're coming as well, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it. I'm still here. I'm here till Friday morning. So
got it.
I'm going to try to get everything wrapped up so I can come hang.
Nice.
Okay. So my next official stream will be on Friday. And then, Friday and then Saturday as well. Do we have Moon? Yeah, Moon Gang, my channel, right?
Sunday, yeah.
And we also have Moon Gang at 7 p.m. So pretty chock full schedule, a lot of streaming. So definitely check it out, you guys. And 100K Bitcoin very soon, I hope. Let's look.
Yeah.
Very close. I mean, we're just a couple $100 away, you guys.
Let's go.
Where are we right now? What's the price? 99.
Stop dumping, dude.
150. It's all the what did Richard Hart call those again?
Oh, sell pressure.
Yeah, it's all the sell pressure guys. All the sell pressure guys.
So with that, thank you so much for joining us, man. And don't forget to join the Citadel, man. No more poor. Enough. Leave poverty behind. Join the Citadel. And if you don't want to, well, enjoy poverty. Later.